Welcome to Ask the Expert with noted radio host Steve Sleeper. Each week, Steve interviews entrepreneurs and professionals and shares their intriguing stories of success and service. Now, here's radio veteran Steve Sleeper.
Our guest today is Rogen Chhabra. He's with the law firm of Chhabra Gibbs in Jackson, Mississippi. They're personal injury attorneys. Rogen, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. How about you?
I can't complain. Can't complain at all. Hey, well, tell me a little bit about yourself and your firm.
First, I've been practicing since 1998, so getting pretty close to 20 years here. And my firm was founded originally in 1999. I've got a law partner by the name of Chhabra Gibbs, and right now we have 7 lawyers, with another one hoping to start in February. Maybe a little after February, after they get their bar exam results. And we do primarily injury-related work. We've got a lot of workers' compensation claims, but we also do standard personal injury claims as well, like slip and fall, car wreck, medical malpractice, products liability, those sorts of things.
Okay, so let's talk about an accident here. Let's say I've been in an accident. Why do I need an attorney? Won't the insurance company take care of me?
Well, insurance companies their goal is to save money, so they would like to pay you as little as possible. And the problem is the average person hopefully hasn't had more than one or two such situations in their life, so they're not really educated about what their rights are. In Mississippi, they can get pain and suffering and lost wages and medical bills, and there's a lot of nuances in how compensation for that goes. And the other thing that the average person might not know is what's a jury likely to award if the case were to have to proceed. Now, frankly, 90+% of all cases can get resolved without having to get to a jury. But if you don't have a lawyer to represent you that will make a statement to the insurance company that, hey, you either pay me a fair settlement now or you risk a much worse scenario in front of a jury, then the insurance company just doesn't have an incentive to pay you. They've got to be pressed, or they're going to do everything they can to save every dollar they can. So my experience is, and I realize me being a lawyer, I may not be the best source for this because I might be perceived as trying to sell my own services, but that's not really what's going on here. I'm genuinely telling you, my experience is people that get offers from insurance companies without lawyers, more often than not, are getting lowballed, and the best way to get a fair result is to put maximum pressure on the insurance company.
Okay, so what's the cost to come to you?
There is no cost to come to my office or to talk to my office. Our consultations are free, and the way we get paid is if we take the case, then we will get paid on a contingency fee basis. And what that means is we'll get a percentage of whatever we collect. These cases can be very expensive to pursue sometimes. For instance, getting information from doctors by way of deposition, hiring experts to determine what your future lost wages will be, hiring doctor experts to testify about causation. Those things can rack up in terms of cost. It's important to do because that's how you put pressure on the insurance company to get properly compensated. But at the end of the day, if we lose, or if we don't get an acceptable recovery for you, then you don't pay us anything, and you don't even have to pay us back the expenses sometimes, which are six-figure type cost to us. You don't have to pay that back either. And if we win, then we'll just get a percentage of the recovery. The percentage that we get kind of depends on what the type of case is, and we determine that agreement on the front end after we've met and consulted with the client and figured out what the complexity is and can figure out the risk scenario and determine an appropriate percentage for the case.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question, Rogen. What should a person look for in an accident attorney?
They should look for several things, in my opinion. First, and probably foremost, they should look for somebody who has significant experience. And by significant experience, I mean they've handled many cases, and this is really important. I think they need to have handled cases all the way through to a jury and even up on appeal to the Court of Appeals, the Mississippi Supreme Court, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. I think they should have experience in all those areas because if they don't, the insurance companies keep tabs on lawyers and they know who's willing to try a case and who's not. And if they've got a lawyer who they think is afraid to try a case, then they are going to lowball that lawyer because there's not going to be the pressure. So you want to make sure that the lawyer has experience. A lot of people, I've heard the question before, how often do you win? Well, that's a bit of a loaded question. I mean, I get an acceptable result on probably better than 99% of our cases, but I think, that's really not, that doesn't necessarily distinguish me from a lot of other lawyers. So the winning percentage, I don't think is necessarily a good way to look at it because I think a lot of lawyers can tout a good winning percentage if you count all the settlements as wins, which is where most cases land. And another thing you might want to look for in a lawyer is what kind of relationship you're looking for. You obviously want a lawyer that you can trust. You want a lawyer that you can talk to. You want a lawyer that will return your phone calls. But I don't think you necessarily want a lawyer who will spend all day talking to you and not spend any time fighting for you. And that's always a balance that I think is tough for lawyers to maintain. And I think you should ask when you talk to a lawyer, hey, what will this relationship be like? How will communication occur? How will I know when will things occur? And I think the last thing you should look for in a lawyer is for one that is aggressive by nature. In other words, they're not the kind of person to sit around and wait for eons before they do something. In my office, we have a mantra, and that is we want to keep the ball in somebody else's court. We don't want something sitting in our office waiting on us to do work. We want it in somebody else's office waiting on them to respond to us. We want to be proactive and aggressive, and I think that is a formula for, I think, what will give most people the best representation.
Yeah, that's great information. Okay, now let's say I've been in a car accident. It's not my fault. Are there some things I should keep in mind, in case that ever happens?
Sure. If you're in an accident, you are going to want to take photos at the scene, and you're obviously going to want to contact the police and have them come to the scene. Another big mistake I think people make is sort of pretending they're not hurt. And I don't, they're not doing it in a nefarious way. It's just that, oh man, I'm sore, but I don't want to make a scene or make a commotion or act like I'm, trying to get money out of this. I don't want to call the ambulance. I'm just going to go home and rest it off and see if I feel better tomorrow. If you're hurt, that's a bad idea. Don't pretend. Go to the doctor. Go to the emergency room. And if you're hurt bad enough, call an ambulance or have somebody call an ambulance for you. And just listen to what your body is telling you, and don't try to paint a picture good or bad. Just do the right thing when it comes to your injury. So I guess to summarize, if you can take photos of the scene and what happened and that sort of thing, that's a good idea. 2, make sure you contact the police. And 3, make sure you get the appropriate medical treatment that you need.
Anything else we should know?
Well, about car wrecks, on the front end, I don't think there's any other specific advice I would give, but I would say go get the medical treatment first, and then once you've stabilized and you've had time to calm down, then it's probably best to contact a lawyer to make sure that everything goes in the direction that it needs to go.
Yeah, great information, Rogen. And our guest today has been Rogen Chhabra with Chhabra Gibbs, accident attorneys in Jackson, Mississippi. Rogen, how can you be reached?
Several ways. My main office line is 601-948-8005. You could also contact us on our website, which is www.cglawms.com. That's cglawms.com. There's a live chat feature, and if you experience that live chat, it will automatically get emailed to me, and I'll see a transcript of it as soon as I have access to my email. And you can also email me directly. My email address is rchhabra@cglawms.com. That's rchhabra@cglawms.com.
Hey, Rogen, thanks for being on the program today.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Expert with Steve Sleeper. Join us next time as entrepreneurs and professionals share their intriguing stories of success and service.